Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 8, episode 7, Miami Spice or something like that. Whatever. Y'all, okay. If this wasn't a crazy ass episode, I don't know what was. Let me mute my phone because y'all, let me put my thing on airplane mode because y'all already know how my stuff works. But anyway, I'm going to try to go as slow as I can on this episode. Not to make it too long, but because I want to elaborate on the things that I'm going to be saying. And I don't want to talk over myself, okay? Alright. So, this was an intense episode. And I have my notes here because y'all know I can talk and go around the world and all that type of stuff. So, it starts out there on the boat when they just left the little dancing situation that they just came from, okay? They're on the boat with everybody, you know, Tammy's nephew, his friend, and Oliver and Oliver's friend. They're all on this boat headed back to the mansion, okay? And Portia decides that she wants to play Never Have I Ever, where you have to basically say, never have I ever done whatever. And they're doing all of that stuff. And Kenya, in the process, tries to get the attention of Tammy's nephew, Glenn. And as she does that, she's snapping her fingers. And of course, he's like, I know you didn't just snap him because, you know, that's kind of belittling. You know, you snapping at somebody like, and I understand she probably didn't realize what she was doing and, you know, didn't know that some people look at that as being a little bit disrespectful. And he was like, well, you got to find another way to, you know, basically get my attention. And she was like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean no harm by it, etc., etc. This is one particular, y'all know how, you know, I think that King can be messy as hell. But this is one instance where I felt like Kenya probably wasn't being, you know, wasn't trying to belittle him, okay? Anyway, so while they're doing this thing, of course, Kim goes in the corner and she calls her husband, basically asking if the oodles and noodles was a hit and all that type of stuff. I mean, you know, she just doing her thug thizzle. Once old girl stood up and basically said she ain't never had no golden shower. And then Cynthia said never have she ever performed any oral sex while anybody was driving a car. Okay, girl. Awkward. But anyway, they make it back to the house, okay? And as they make it back to the house, you know, they all decide that they're going to go out and get in the jacuzzi, okay? Candy then wobbled her pregnant tail on down the stairs. And they all decided they're going to go out and get in the jacuzzi. And of course, at first, Kim was like, oh, of course, Kim didn't want to go, but Candy was like, look, I need another sober person to be out here with me, okay? They get to acting a little crazy when they get to drinking. So they all go out there, and as Glenn, you know, walks outside, he congratulates Candy on her pregnancy or whatever. She was like, thank you, and he was like, you know, what was so weird about the whole situation to me, when Candy said thank you, he was like, oh, damn, I'm just trying to be respectful. I mean, he just literally just snapped, like, I'm just trying to be respectful, you know, basically saying, I don't, you know, it ain't like that, I don't want you, etc., etc. And I'm kind of looking like, what the fuck is really going on, you know? And I'm not one of those people that's just going to, you know, jump on everything that I see on the TV, because I know a lot of those scenes, they probably cut out. And a lot of that shit that went on, we didn't see, okay? But when he did that to Candy, I was kind of like, what the fuck is really going on? Like, why is he snapping on Candy? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way already, you know, so I kind of was looking at him kind of sideways, but they have been drinking, and you know, a lot of times when people get to drinking, they get to be a little aggressive, okay? And when I say aggressive, I don't want anyone to look at it as though I'm saying, oh, black men are so threatening and aggressive. That's not what I'm saying, because apparently a lot of people were feeling that way. But I'm just saying, when he got drunk, he was coming off a little, I mean, he was being a little belligerent, a whole lot of belligerent, okay? But again, I want people to understand that I'm pretty sure a lot of that shit they probably cut out, and a lot of it we didn't see. Let's move on. All right. So, like I said, again, he's going off saying, you know, snapping, saying some old weirdo ass shit under his damn breath and all that type of shit. So, all of them over there in the jacuzzi, of course, and Portia gets out of the jacuzzi, got on her little thong thing, and she twerking and all this type of shit. And bitch, you can look at the look on Oliver's face and tell he was just mesmerized, okay? And let me tell you a little bit of something about Portia, why I admire Portia and her arse. Because Portia's arse is natural, au naturel. Portia does a whole lot of working out, and she's actually done some videos showing her workout routines and how she does a lot of squats and things like that. So apparently all of that is all natural. So shout out to Portia for having a nice ass without it being manufactured, okay? So let's see what else was going on. Like I said, showing off all of her juiciness and all that type of shit. So she goes and sits in a separate section over there in the other part of the jacuzzi, okay? And of course, Oliver decides that he want to go over there because, you know, have a little bit of a long time in our own little private section of the jacuzzi. Bitch, he get over there and tell me why Oliver bust his ass, did a motherfucking full split, okay? Almost bust all his motherfucking shit. And of course, it was hilarious. Of course, anytime you try to be sexy, ladies and gentlemen, of course, especially it's on your, you know, your first time meeting someone and you bust your ass or anything like that, of course, that is going to be hilarious. But they laughed it off and they moved on swiftly and professionally. Shout out to my brother from another mother, Justin J1232, okay? So all of that happened. And like I said, you know, of course, they in the jacuzzi and Tammy over there by herself being Tammy. She's just down in the pool swimming. And of course, the ladies being the ladies, they talking under their breath. I guess they were saying little stuff about Tammy. But Glenn, of course, goes, y'all ain't finna be saying nothing about my auntie. You know, y'all ain't finna be saying nothing about my auntie. I mean, just everybody looking at him like, what the hell? You know, what the fuck is really going on? And of course, Sheree was real close up on him. I don't know if y'all noticed that. But Sheree was real close up on the Glenn. I don't know what was going on with that little situation, but she was real lovey-dovey and kind of laughing in his face and things. I'm pretty sure they were all just having fun. But again, they were all there, and y'all ain't finna say nothing about my auntie, etc. But they had been drinking. So anyway, Candy, you know, basically Tammy was coming out of the inside, and Candy asked Tammy if she enjoyed being on the boat with the girls, and she said, pretty much say, whatever, brushing it off. Kenya decides to leave her from over there where they were because Kenya was feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So she walks over to where they were, and she basically tells her how her nephew has been acting, and she basically tells her that she wants him to leave. And Tammy, you know, Tammy was okay with it. She was like, it's not a problem, you know, because Tammy, you know, Tammy is kind of to herself at this point. And Tammy's like, it's not a problem, you know, I'm going to handle the situation. And I really think at that point, Kenya probably should have just let Tammy handle the situation to diffuse it. Because anytime you are adding fuel to a fire, especially with a person who is already, you know, inebriated, you probably gonna, you know, you're gonna show enough get a big old blaze. So she probably should have let Tammy handle it from that point on. Once she told Tammy that, you know, her nephew was pretty much a problem and she wanted him to leave, you know. And a lot of people were like, well, anytime things ain't going Kenya's way, Kenya wants to kick people out. I think ThickChickVlogs thinks that Kenya was justified this time in kicking the person out, because what would have happened if this dude would have stayed there a little bit longer, seeing what he actually did? What would have happened if he would have stayed there all night and they had been drinking? Ain't no telling what the fuck would have happened, okay? So let's keep it moving. But like I said, Tammy was okay with it. Tammy was going to remove them from the situation. She was like, hey, she went over there to them. She was like, hey, it's time to dip, okay? So they were getting out of the jacuzzi and they went inside of the house, and basically she was telling him that they got to go. Now, if Kenya would have just stayed back, none of that probably would have happened because they were about to leave. But of course, Kenya proceeds to, you know, before I get to that, before that even happened, before Tammy even went over there, Glenn was still over there in the jacuzzi with Sheree and the rest of them, and, you know, basically and saying, you know, ain't none of these hoes could tell me nothing, you know, talking to his homeboy and all this type of shit. I mean, just acting a fool, just acting really weird, you know, acting like a drunk fool who needs to go home and get into bed. You know what I'm saying? So Sheree looking like, you know, she don't want to leave once his auntie go over there and tell him, you know, Tammy go over there and tell him it's time for us to bounce, pretty much. And, you know, Kenya tells him that, you know, she thinks he should leave. And, you know, because she been trying to talk to him the whole night and he just been snapping on everybody, etc., etc. And he just goes to say, look here, little bitch. Look here, little bitch. And, of course, as he's saying, look here, little bitch, Tammy's trying to hold him back like, hey, bro, you need to chill out. Tammy is attempted to, you know, push him back like, you need to chill out. As she's trying to hold him back, he literally pushes Tammy to the fucking floor, knocking her smooth clean the fuck out. I'm talking about Tammy was on the floor asleep, y'all. She was on the floor asleep. Now, I understand that Kenya, she shouldn't have even came out and said anything. Tammy was telling him that he needed to leave, and he was probably going to just go ahead and leave. Maybe if Kenya would have just stayed out of the situation, because he had been snapping on her all damn night. Like I said, again, I want to reiterate that I'm pretty sure a lot of it they did not show us. So a lot of things we probably did not see. But Kenya should have just stayed out of the situation once she told Tammy that she wanted him to leave. Okay. So once he pushed Tammy down, he's still trying to get at her. Look here, little bitch. And of course, security had to come out. They done held him down, put him in the goddamn hog tie. I'm talking about family. I would have been scared too, because, I mean, I knew a dude like that, okay? I used to talk to a dude who used to get the exact same. When he used to get drunk, I'm talking about just out of nowhere, just completely just get, I mean, the motherfucker ain't never put his damn hands on me or nothing like that, but he used to get completely, like, just loud and snappy for no apparent reason. And, you know, you never know what a person who is inebriated will do when they under the influence. You know what I'm saying? So I totally, am all for Kenya putting him out of the house at that particular point, because you never know what would have happened. If he acted like that off of her basically saying that she wanted him to leave because he, you know, she tried to talk to him all night, etc., etc. Look here, little bitch. I mean, that was just too much, okay? Way, way, way too much. So they didn't hog-tied his ass. They didn't call the damn ambulance for Tammy and wheeled her on off to the hospital, and the security guards and kicked his ass on off the property. All right. Girl, like I said, they didn't have to call the ambulance, child, okay? And they all seem to think that Kenya did the wrong thing. You know, I mean, literally saying that she was basically adding fuel to the fire. All of them feel like, you know, basically if things ain't going Kenya's way, Kenya always want the person to leave. Kind of like on the boat with Portia's friend, when she wanted Portia's friend to leave, okay? Everybody thinks that, you know, and I agree, sometimes Kenya can be a little extra. But I think in this particular case, she did the right thing wanting him to leave. But I think she should have let Tammy handle it. So, after all this stuff goes on, okay, you know, Kim is trying to talk to Kenya. They have a slight disagreement, etc., etc. Kim basically told her, you know, that if you throwing rocks at a hornet nest and you basically the nest, you know, the goddamn bees sting you, can't necessarily blame the bees. That's pretty much what Kim is saying. So she's basically trying to say that Kenya instigated well, I'm not going to say instigated, but Kim is basically saying that she feels like Kenya kind of added fuel to the fire. She should have just basically let Tammy handle the situation, which I agree with that. But I don't think that Kenya did the wrong thing. So after all this happened, of course, Kim decides to go to a hotel. Kim wanted to leave any damn way. It was the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure she probably could have caught a flight out of Miami that night. She probably would have. But she decides to go to a hotel after all this stuff goes down. And the next morning, okay, Candy's on the phone with Todd. She's basically telling him, you know, that she'll be home in a little while. And Todd, of course, is pissed. And, I mean, which is natural. You got a wife who's out there in Miami and you find out all this shit done popped off. Motherfuckers finna fight and all this type of shit. Security everywhere. I mean, naturally, he would be upset that, you know, number one, you're pregnant ass out there. And these folks acting a damn fool. So he's like, okay, it's time for your motherfucking ass to come back to the crib, okay? And, you know, just in the middle of all this drama. So, they come in, Cynthia comes in the room and Kenya comes in the room, and basically Candy tells them, you know, she was about to leave. And of course, Kenya wants to know why. But look, girl, you already know Candy's out here. She pregnant. Candy don't need to be out there in the middle of all that bullshit. And Candy tells them, look, while the cameras weren't around, Tammy and them dudes, you know, Glenn and his homeboy, they came back. Okay. And they was like, well, how the hell did they get on the property? How did they, apparently Tammy done goddamn jumped over the goddamn fence, y'all, because apparently security ain't let the ass in, but apparently she done jumped over the damn, fresh out the horse pillar, okay, then jumped over the fence. Like I said, y'all, Tammy, she is a character. Just saying, I think they should probably give her a peach. She would definitely make, they probably should go ahead and get Kim's peach. Like I said, I like Kim on the show, but they should probably go ahead and get Kim's peach and give that peach to Tammy, okay? But like I said, they said that, you know, Tammy came back to the house later that night, and they, you know, because the cameras weren't around, they were recording it on their phone. And so Portia tell everybody to stay back. She goes and opens the door, and it's Tammy standing there. I'm talking about looking like a straight up zombie, looking like something off Fear the Walking Dead. Just, I mean, looking crazy. Still got on a robe, got on the hospital gown, the slippers. I mean, she is looking extra crazy. And of course, her nephew and thing is there with her. I guess they went to the emergency room with her. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, standing there looking like a goddamn straight up Walking Dead zombie, okay? Alright, so again, Phaedra thinks that Kenya overreacted. You know, again, I don't think she overreacted. I think that she should have let Tammy handle it, but I don't think she was wrong for wanting him to leave. You know, and she basically talks about how she was in Ferguson when, you know, Mike's brown mom was, you know, going through what she was going through, and she just doesn't look, she doesn't like it when, you know, a lot of people try to make black men out to be the aggressors and, you know, basically justify making them out seem like bad people. And again, I want to reiterate that I feel like a lot of things that happened at that mansion that night we did not get a chance to see on camera, because a lot of stuff, you know, those people, they edit things out and they put the juicy things in there. So it's probably a lot more that went on that we did not see. But I felt really, you know, she started making me cry, because a lot of times they do make black folks, you know, seem like the aggressors in certain situations. But again, from what they showed on television, Kenya did the right thing. They on, you know, the bus or whatever, and they call Tammy, and she basically tells them that, you know, they told her she doesn't have a concussion, she got a couple of bruises, etc., etc. And, you know, like I said again, he was clearly drunk as hell that night when all that shit happened, okay? So basically, she had a concussion. No concussion, she just had bruises, and she's doing okay. And they invite her back. They tell her that they're going to be doing some cooking later on that night, and they invite her back and all this stuff. But eventually, she doesn't show up. So anyway, so Portia decided she's going to get them some mini Hummers. Bitch, that makes me want to go to Miami. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that makes me want to take a vacation to Miami, okay? Seeing them on them little mini Hummers. It looks like it's super cool down there in Miami. I've never been, of course. Go my 100. You need to take me on a tour of Miami, girl. Have you ever been to Miami? I know you from Florida, but I'm not sure what part of Florida you're from, okay? So, again, Kim is back at the OK Corral. Of course, she's back in Atlanta, because that night she went to a hotel. The next morning, I'm pretty sure she hopped on the first thing smoking back to the ATL shawty, okay? And, you know, she's with her husband and kids, and her husband said he's glad she's back at home, because, you know, he's glad that she went out and did her little thug thizzle, but at the same time, being around all that drama, he doesn't feel like she should have been around all that drama. So, I can understand it, because that's not Kim's cup of tea, but again, I like Kim on the show, but I really don't think she fits in, because, I mean, naturally, when you decide to come on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'm pretty sure you didn't see an episode or two, and you already know what's going to be popping off. So, I understand that you wanted this new little notch underneath your belt, but come on, Kim. I mean, you knew what was going to be popping off, but I'm going to give you that, okay? And, of course, she proceeds to say that, you know, she takes her professional status very seriously, and, you know, she doesn't want it basically tainted or anything. But, girl, when you come on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, that's going to knock you down a peg or two, because, of course, Real Housewives of Atlanta is not what you would consider to be a professional show. I mean, it's a lot of ratchetness that goes on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, girl. It's a reality television show, okay? Just says him. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. So back at the OK Corral, Portia is getting ready for a date. She's about to go on a date with Oliver, and they giving her some shit. Bitch, what was that shit they gave her? Was that some motherfucking cornstarch they were giving her to put on her cooter, girl? Talking about to keep herself fresh. I don't know, girl, I don't know. And then when she got done, she handed it back to Phaedra. I understand, girl, it's cool being some, you know, some BFFs, good friends and shit, but we nothing to be sharing no cootie powder, whatever the fuck that was that she was putting on her cooter, okay, girl? But anyway, like I said, she's getting ready for her little date or whatever, and they cooking dinner, and like I said, they invited Tammy, but of course she didn't show up. So she's out on her date with Oliver. He attempts to kiss her and shit. I mean, you know, dude, that was awkward as fuck, okay? I mean, he just went in. Number one, the cameras is on us and shit. Just damn, motherfucker. You could have waited till they went on break or some shit. You know what I'm saying? To try to sneak in a kiss. But anyway, he did eventually get his kiss. And, you know, her date went well. And they decided that they're going to go on a second date, etc., etc. I don't know if that shit was actually staged. Do you guys think that she really met him down there and they decided to go on a date and she brought them back? Or do you think that was all scripted as well? I don't know. I'm pretty sure they would have probably wanted to, you know, do some goddamn, sign some paperwork and all this type of shit before they just brought them back to the thing. Because you got to sign paperwork, waivers and shit before they just put you on television, okay? If you notice in some reality television shows, some people, the real ones, some people's faces are blurred, because if they don't know who those people are and they can't get waivers, they can't just put those people on TV. But, I don't know. Again, do y'all think that was real or do y'all think that was scripted? I don't know. But anyway, Kim and Kenya decided to meet up, you know, to have lunch. Because like I said, they didn't after all this shit happened, they didn't hugged and all this type of shit. Because Portia done went back to the house and told him about her date, etc., etc. And now, you know, the night is over. They all done hugged and kissed and all that shit. And they back in Atlanta now. Back in Atlanta, Kim and Kenya decided they're going to meet up for lunch. Because remember, they had a disagreement back at the mansion when, you know, Kim was basically telling Kenya that she thought it was wrong what she did by kicking the dude out of the house, etc., etc. And, you know, Kenya felt like, you know, she just left because she missed her husband, and Kim had to stop her in her tracks. She was like, no, I didn't just leave because I missed my husband, my kids, etc., etc. She was like, I felt like I was in a hostile situation and I wanted to get out of it. And again, Kim felt like, you know, Kenya was adding fuel to the fire, and she felt like, you know, it was a a bad situation just about to get worse. So that's one of the reasons why she wanted to go to the hotel and the next morning go back to Atlanta. And you know, like I said, Kenya feels like she's basically justified in what she did, etc., etc. And I also think that she's justified in what she did as well. And they are grown women. They decide to agree to disagree and move on swiftly and motherfucking professionally, okay? And that's what I love about the whole, you know, that's what I love about some women. You know, we can agree to disagree. That's just like here on this channel. A lot of times people don't necessarily agree with everything that I say. And again, I tell people, if we can respectfully agree to disagree, that's fine. But just don't tell me how I should and shouldn't feel about a certain situation. You kind of get what I'm saying? If we can agree to disagree, just like with this whole situation, if you feel like King was wrong for kicking the dude out, that is your God-given right to feel like she was wrong. But I feel like from what I saw, from what they showed us on the TV, I feel like she was justified in kicking him out of the house. Because again, it could have got much worse if the dude had stayed back and started drinking more. And it would have got, you know, it probably could have been showing up a whole nother different story. Because think about it. Remember when they were recording the video and stuff with their phone, when the camera crew and shit, they would sleep, you know, wherever the fuck they was, they probably was in a different location, okay? What would have happened if that dude would have stayed behind in the house with them and would have got shown up drunk and King probably would have said something out of the way, been her normal self, said something out of the way, or said something that he didn't like, and by him being inebriated, he snapped on her, and it probably would have got, what if the security guards couldn't get to him in a timely fashion and he would have whooped her ass or something. It could have went all kinds of left, okay? But again, I'm happy that things did not go crazier than they possibly could have. And the fact that this fool was even about to attempt to hit a woman, that even disgusted me even more, okay? I don't give a damn. My mama don't play that. When I tell you, a man, you don't put your hands on a woman. And especially if the woman didn't put her damn hands on you. I can understand that King can be annoying as fuck. King can be extra read all about it annoying. But she wasn't in your face, dude. The girl was 10 feet away from you. So why you just lunging at her and shit? Look here, little bitch. I mean, I wouldn't want to be with no dude like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know we throw out a couple F-bombs and shit like that, but when you got a dude who look here, little bitch, I mean, no, I'm sorry. So again, I think King was justified in everything that she did. I felt like the situation could have got much hostiler, but I do feel like she should have let Tammy handle the situation. But I also want to reiterate that I feel like that a lot of the things that happened on that show, they did not show us on camera. So it's probably a whole lot that we missed, but still, him lunging at a woman was totally unacceptable in ThickChickVlogs' book. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section about this here particular episode, and I will see y'all when I see you in a minute.